the mindset of cricketers representing the West Indies have evolved. I told you all that we must stop thinking that these players are playing for us, the Caribbean people. Cricket has changed from what it was 20 years ago. The amount of money in the game has brought about a paradigm shift in the attitude of many players, and there's no longer that intrinsic pride of wanting to be the best cricketer. What matters now is how much money one can make. That in itself is not a bad thing, but please let us know that West Indies cricket is not your priority. We can understand. We are fair. But all we ask for you is to then show us some professionalism for the job you are contracted to do as a hired hand. We, the Caribbean people, we, the fans of West Indies cricket, must no longer believe the politically correct, charismatic speeches. We must look at their actions. Look at how some of the players down tools yesterday because they never got an IPL contract earlier in the day. They were unable to recover from the disillusional state that not getting an IPL contract had placed them in. Contrast that with Phil Salt of England. He too never got a contract, but he blazed 119. As I watched West Indies batted yesterday, it reminds me of the Allen Stanford T20 cricket competition and the early days of the CPL. In chasing a big total, the West Indies batsmen go to default settings. And that means the modus operandi was to swing from the hip towards cow corner. The result, failure to bat out 16 overs. As head coach Darren Sammy apparently overcame with emotions, appears to start crying. Many persons think it was a reckless, careless batting performance, and the approach could have been better orchestrated. We wondered what were the instructions from the coach. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. I'm very happy that you're here for us to look back at the West Indies performance yesterday and to name our playing 11 for tomorrow's game. Ironically, I just could not come up with a playing 11 for tomorrow's game, but I will try by the end of the show. Speaking after the match yesterday, West Indies captain Ravman Powell, in asking for an overview of the team performance yesterday, he said these words to the reporter who asked him the question. And this is what Ravman Powell had to say.
Serious play. I think he gave us some impetus in the back end of the innings, shows that if we had batted properly or if they had scored just a little bit less runs, we would have been able to get it.
So there was Ravman Powell. He said what many of us were saying on the chat. During the live match, many of us were saying that although this is a big total to chase down, and in chasing a big total, you have to get it right. But we never liked the approach. I asked myself, when was it that the captain realized that the approach was not right? Was it when we lost 7, 8 wickets? Didn't he see that that approach was not right from the beginning of the innings? I often said on this forum that when chasing a big total, we can lose the match in the power play, but we cannot win it in the power play. That wild batting performance from the team yesterday was not necessary. Now, when asked about how comes that huge total was possible by England, this is what Rovman Powell said about the huge total that England made.
The intensity at which we start was very low. And in a T20 game, when you start with such low intensity, it's very difficult to find a rhythm. And I think that cost us. That cost us dearly. The post 260 in a very, very big total.
Yes, the bowling was poor yesterday. We all know that the bowling was poor. And in assessing why the bowling was poor, I look at it. 5 of the top 6 batsmen in the West Indies team all have IPL contract, ranging from Shea Hope, who got $9,500, to a high of Nicholas Pooran with over almost $2 million from last year. Rovman Powell himself got almost 900,000. Shafane Rutherford 180,000 US dollars. So the batting were more or less comfortable. They will be playing in the IPL. But what about the bowlers? It was a huge disappointment for the bowlers. Older refused West Indies contract because he was so confident of playing in the IPL. Hussain never got a contract. Moti, who went for 55 runs off his 4 overs, just like Older, it was the first time in his career that he was conceding 55 runs in a T20 international match. The bowlers never recovered. And it goes back to my point where I'm saying that these players are not necessarily playing for the West Indies. In fact, I should not use the word necessarily. They are playing for the money. And because they missed out on a big money payday, they could not wrap themselves around performing in this match. The bowling has been poor overall. We won the first 2 matches largely due to our batting. The third match, our batting again performed well. And Rovman Powell, in his interview, also acknowledged that the bowling have been terrible while the batting have stood up. This is what Powell has to say about the bowlers.
In all the games, the batting have stand up. Hopefully the batting can stand up for the final game, but the bowlers have to come to the party. It's been disappointing for the last few games of how we have executed as bowling group. So Thursday provide an opportunity for us to get that right.
No issue there with Powell. Definitely the bowlers have not been getting it right. We have scored 222 in the third match. We scored 192 yesterday. On both occasions, we lost because the bowlers have not gotten it right. But then when asked about what they will do after this match, this is what Powell said when he was asked, how do they approach it now after this match? This is what the comments say, and I want to make a point here.
We have to do some introspection. As individuals, we have to look into ourselves and see if we have done ourselves justice. And if we haven't done ourselves justice, it's then obvious that we haven't done the team justice. So some introspection and spend some time with ourselves over the next 24 hours and see if we can come up with some better plans to fix what's happening.
In that, as you listen to Powell there, at no time, absolutely no time, we ourselves, at no time did he mention that he let down the Caribbean people. He doesn't care about us as Caribbean people. It's all about ourselves, spending time with ourselves. And I told you, these guys, they don't care about us. They don't care about the West Indian people. They care about themselves and how much money they are making. Long gone are the time when they played for the pride and joy of the West Indies people. They only want to use us when it suits them, as Powell said in this final clip that I'm going to play from his interview. Only when they need us that they call upon us. Listen to what Powell has to say.
When it comes to final situation, West Indies normally triumph. So just come out Thursday and support the boys. Sometimes you guys are the most important member of the team. The 12 man. Come out in maroon and support the boys, and hopefully we can pull it off.
Don't be fooled by those comments that sometimes we are the most important member. At no time are we important to them. At no time. The only time probably they consider us important is that when we comes into the ground, there are more eyes watching the match. And so with more eyes watching the match, there's more money from sponsorship and maybe a little more bonus for them. Because if they lose the match, they will not get paid the winning bonus that Cricket West Indies offered them when they win a series. So now it is time to call upon the fans to use us a little more. But because we are West Indies supporters, we continue to support the team. Looking at tomorrow, as I take your comments, looking at tomorrow, that bowling lineup definitely needs change. We need to stick with the top six. I believe the top six is batting well. You cannot post 200 followed by 192 and then you chase down, I think, 200 in the 176. But this team have been batting well. I do not remember the totals in my head right now. But the team has batted well. And we won the first two matches because of our batting. Now the bowlers has to stand up. So I will go with the top six. I will still have Shepherd. I will still have Russell in there also. I will still keep faith with the two spinners. But I will play the additional spinner of Chase and Shepherd. So my 11, although you're not seeing it on the screen because I just come up with it now, it reads King, and I will leave out Myers, of course. It reads King, Charles, at 3 will be Pura, and at 4 will be Sheo. At 5 would be either Rutherford or Powell. They can bat 5 or 6, whichever way. At 7, 8, it will be Russell and Shepherd again, either way. And then you have Usaid, Moti, and Chase making up the last 3. So that would be my 11. I am going with the 3 spinners against England. Chase have shown it in the past. As Powell said, West Indies do not lose finals. And I expect West Indies to win this final match. Now, please slash a like on the video and click on the subscribe button as I come to your comments to hear your views. And I hope that we will have a very good time as I go through some of your comments. Vernie Brown is saying, why we can't let it be? Those guys are humans. Must lose. The thing about it, Vernie Brown, you're entitled to your opinion, but don't come and tell us what to do. We appreciate your opinions, of course. Give your opinions, but don't tell us. Don't tell us how we must go about our business. Don't tell us how we must express our opinions. Express yours. Yours are welcome, but you are not entitled to give us instructions. We really appreciate your views, but don't give us any instructions, Vernie B. Donald Popo is saying, good morning, Mr. Brown. Yes, indeed, it was a pathetic performance. Top of the morning, Mr. Casanova. Greetings to you, Atina. You are welcome as always. Good morning, Sal4X. Original Sammy, good morning. We win in this final game. I believe so too. Arjuna Sharma, welcome to the show. Nice to see you on the live. These things are going to happen as always. As I've said earlier to you, Mr. Brown, that freelancers like Russell, including more all-rounders in the playing 11, always put the team down. To me, in all honesty, there are 4 games played. I believe that Russell have 2 great games and he has 2 poor games. And so that is cricket. But I do not think that Russell is a negative on this team. In fact, I believe that he's a positive. I know that Russell always divides opinion. And Arjuna Sharma, there are a number of times that you and I agree on things. There are a number of times that you and I disagree. On this occasion, I disagree that Russell is having a negative impact on the team. I think that his impact is positive. I must say this show is very informative. Thank you, Original Sammy. I really appreciate that. Including freelancers like Russell. Well, Arjuna Sharma, I take that comment already. So let me go on to another one. You could be very correct about the payday for them. When I look at how someone like Etty can average over 30 in IPL and can't average 20 in T20 international cricket, it's a disgrace. King is saying, I don't think he doesn't care. He's just shocked at the defeat. Now, I think that they care about their performance. I think they care about themselves. I don't think that intrinsic pride for the Caribbean people is still there. I don't think so. I think that money has changed cricket. There's a lot more money in the game today than there was. And so it is not about pride anymore. It is selling my service to the highest bidder, in my opinion. Clean Bowl is saying, Mr. Brown, you're the man when it comes to quality West Indies cricket commentary. Thank you, Clean Bowl, but you're getting me nervous, but I appreciate the compliments and it motivates me. And thank you. I will always try to do my best. I will always try to be rational as possible. As any human being, I could be biased sometimes because I'm not perfect. But I strive towards being rational and I strive for fairness. Fast bowlers and spinners need to focus on spot bowling drills to improve their accuracy, bowling average, and economy. Good point there, Arjuna Sharma. And sometimes I wondered how much bowling these guys do. How much bowling, how much spot bowling, how much do they train on their own? We saw them doing some training in front of the camera. But we know that all the great cricketers do the boring things well. When the camera is not watching, and when in your backyard or in some isolated location, you go and you train for hours and hours and hours. How much of our West Indies cricketers are doing these things? I spoke about our spin bowling issues. We have an issue batting spin bowling. And I think that it only requires some hard work. Take, for example, Rashid, the England leg spinner. That is now the #1 T20 bowler in the world. If I am playing for West Indies and I know that Rashid is coming, I will be spending hours and hours and hours studying the bowling action of Rashid, looking to see what he's doing with his wrist. And when he uses one action, what the ball does. When he uses another action, what the ball does. I would be studying his wrist action, his elbow action, how he carries his arm. And so by studying those, I will then go to the nets and practice how I will approach each wrist action from Rashid. So when he comes into the match, I'll be watching his wrist carefully. So when he lets go that delivery, I will know what it is expected that the delivery to do more often than not. It may not do it all the time because there's a natural variation of the ball hitting the pitch. But if you study the bowler action and you practice to counteract it, you will get it correct 95% of the time. Athena is saying, in a boxing match, the cornerman will give information to the boxer between rounds. Why can we do the same between wickets? Information should be given on a real-time issue. I think they do that though, Athena, but probably they do not have the skill to do with it. We heard in an interview yesterday where Powell was talking about the skill set of the West Indies players and how they need to up their skills. And he learned that without the skill, you just cannot manage in T20 cricket. I would say cricket overall. So they passed on the information, but because they do not practice the skill often enough, they do not spend hours practicing, they spend minutes practicing, they cannot upgrade their skill level. Mr. Casanova is saying, when I look at the Aussies, how proud those players are to play for the country of the Kangaroos, and our players are more into money than pride for a country. But remember, Mr. Casanova, that's a trained thing. Cricket Australia said it, that these guys didn't born that way, but we trained them. But you know what? Over the years, we have seen where whenever Cricket West Indies takes steps to implement some measures to improve the cricket, there's a backlash, and we, the fans, more often than not, support the players instead of support the action of the board and the steps that the board are taking to let these players be accountable. Right now, the players rule West Indies cricket. They are almost unaccountable because we, the fans, continues to bash the board despite whatsoever step the boards take to improve accountability and to improve performance. Until we recognize and start holding these players responsible and give the board some backing. I am not saying that the board doesn't do foolishness sometimes, but there are times when we need to back the board. Jays Glasgow, 192 in 15.2 overs. Yes, we are not saying that. We have made that clear. We have made that clear, We have made it clear that the batting was commendable, although it was wild. And we saw where if we had done it properly, we probably would not have won the match anyhow, but we'd have gotten closer. So that was okay, Jake Glasgow. We have no issues there with those bowling. So good. So let's look at Darren Baldio. I like your selection of Johnson Charles for Myers. Thank you very much. Bowling is simple, straight balls with the occasional in and out swingers. Goodwin Curry is saying, yeah, and you must hit that spot though. You must hit that length. It's not only about the line, but you need to hit the right length, because if you're over pitch, you will go. If you are too short, you will go. So do we need a strict leader of the board like Dave Cameron? Yes, we need somebody who is very strict at the board. Yes, of course. Now, one of the things that I know about leadership, when there's an organization and you don't hear anyone crying in that organization, you know that things are smooth. You know that nothing is virtually happening. That can't be. If West Indies cricket is doing something, somebody will be crying. It can't be that you have a group of men, so many men, and all of them are satisfied if you are pushing them hard. Somebody will be crying. You remember how they used to cry when Brian Lara used to push them all? And they victimized Brian Lara and called him all sort of name. And we, the fans, back the players instead of backing Lara when Lara was the one who was trying to push them to a greater level. And they said all these things about Brian Lara. Then that's where the breakdown started. We should have backed Brian Lara then, what he was doing. When these lazy players were complaining and saying all sort of things about the young man, we didn't back him. We thought we backed the players. And that's where this all started. And until there's a paradigm shift, until the players are held accountable, until we start paying players for performance, until then, we will not see the quality of cricket that we dream for. We all want West Indies to win. It is our team. It's our friends. It's our brothers. It's the people who we see on the road from day to day. So we all want them to win. But there must be measures that is put in place for them to win. Goodwin Curry said it. Professionalism and pride is lacking. Have a great day, everyone. See you tomorrow for the live watch along. Take care of yourself. Take care of your loved ones. God bless you. Be good.